out that they literally left like $500,000 on the table minimum, and that's how much they could have achieved if they were properly represented. So the DIY approach is the first and largest mistake, unequivocally. The second mistake is that they don't look at multiple options and they don't negotiate on multiple options. And this is a difference between residential and commercial. When you do residential real estate, you go to the market. And when you find that property you like, you submit a contract. And if the seller says yes, you're in a binding contract at that point. In commercial real estate, you submit multiple offers to multiple landlords or sellers, and you do it in a non-binding format. And so residential, you're negotiating with one seller at one time. In commercial, if you're doing it right, you should be negotiating with 3 or 4 sellers at the same time. That's just the way it works. There's too many variables to a commercial deal. There's the lease rate, annual increases, length of lease, the build out allowance, the free rent to build out, free rent once you open, the type of use. Is there an exclusive clause? There's so many things that are part of a commercial deal that are not part of residential, that if you don't negotiate with multiple landlords, you're not going to have a real benchmark. One landlord has a lease rate that seems competitive, but their TI allowance is nowhere close to where it should be. You don't know that unless you're negotiating with multiple landlords, multiple sellers. So the idea of like picking one property and going after it and then trying to get, quote, a good deal, there's no way to determine if it's a good deal because it's compared to what is the question. It's not a good deal based upon where they started and where you ended up. A lot of landlords will price deals with a significant margin in them. And then when you negotiate down a little bit or you capture some concessions, you're feeling like, hey, I really did a good job. I really capitalized. And the landlord's laughing all the way to the bank. All they did is overprice a deal, gave you a little bit off the top so you felt like you, quote, negotiated. And meanwhile, you left another like a couple $100,000 on the table that went to the landlord versus you. So number one's DIY. Number two is like only picking one property and thinking that's going to work. The next one you can put in there is taking advice from other healthcare providers. It's amazing how many times a doctor will start a deal and then they'll ask their friend like, hey, what did you get? Or, what should I ask for? And you have one person who's well-intentioned, who's probably extremely intelligent and is probably an amazing clinician, but they're not a commercial real estate expert. So you have one person who didn't do a good job with their real estate, who really doesn't know what they're doing, coaching another person in an area they're not qualified to. And it's amazing. We talk to people all the time. They'll say, I talked to a good friend of mine and they told me to do this and that's what they did. And we're thinking like, come on, man. Like, that's like me saying to a doctor, I talked to a friend of mine and they told me like, this is the medicine I should take or this is what I should do. And the doctor's like, what are you talking about? Like, who told you that? Like, I'm like, well, a good friend of mine who's not a doctor told me to do that. You'd be like, well, why are you listening to somebody who's not a doctor about medicine? It's the same thing. You're talking to a doctor about commercial real estate who's not a commercial real estate expert. And then the last one I'll give you, and I'll just cap it there, is missing the ideal timeline. Like it's amazing how many healthcare providers and office managers do not have correct dates. Like they think the lease expires in 6 months and expires in 2 months, or they think it expires in 6 months and expires in 2 years. Like they're off on their dates, and so they contact a landlord, 2 months before their lease expires, or the landlord contacts them. And they have no ability to move. They have no ability to create a posture. They don't have time to go to market, and they just get taken advantage of at a really bad level. So, those are a few of them. I could get into more, but you can fix every one of those with one simple solution. If you hire an expert commercial real estate advisor who specializes in healthcare, who understands tenant buyer rep, they're going to make sure that you look at the entire market. They're going to make sure that you negotiate on multiple properties. They're going to ensure that you have a real strategy that's based upon factual data, and you're not just begging or bluffing with the landlord, asking them for more. You actually know what's a good deal or a bad deal, and then they're not going to miss your timeline. They're going to look at, how much terms left in your lease, what's the desired transaction, and then they know the exact time to start that deal where they can have enough time to get a deal done. If you had to move or had to buy or wanted to, you can do that. And you're not at the mercy of the landlord, but you're also not starting a deal 2 years in advance to where the landlord knows you have nowhere to go for 2 years. You have to pay me for 2 years. Why would I give you anything now? And so that answer of getting the right person to help you, or that solution, that's going to answer all those questions or problems for you.
When would, based upon the term of their lease, this is probably maybe it's case by case, but when should you, so let's say my lease is up in October. It's February right now. Should I start the talks with the landlord? Do I wait a few months? When is a good time for that? Or am I too late?
No, you definitely want to start it now. I mean, if you wait until you only have a few months left, the landlord's going to assume that you don't have any clue what you're doing. They're going to assume that you're not going to market, you don't have a broker, you're not one to move. And here's one of the most important things I can tell healthcare providers. If a landlord thinks that you have no options, or you have to choose that property, or you're not willing to relocate, or you don't know what's going on, you're not going to get the best terms possible. Simply that. Especially if you're a doctor and you are in a current space and you have a lease renewal coming up, the landlord is going to assume that you are not going to move. You say, well, why is that important? If a landlord assumes you're not going to move, they have no incentive to give you a market lease rate. In fact, they're going to push you in the opposite direction, and they're going to try to charge you an extra several dollars per square foot because they want the highest return. I mean, it's like you looking at your 401k. Like, do you want an 8% return, or do you want a 22% return? Clearly you want a 22% return, or your portfolio. Like you're not playing games. Like, you don't care what's going on with the companies. You don't care what's going on behind the scenes. You just want the highest return possible. Landlord does not care about the doctor. They don't care about their practice. They don't care about their staff. They don't care about their patients. They want the highest return. And if the landlord has the ability to pull a lever of raising that lease rate, and that's going to get them a much higher return, they're going to do that. So if the landlord is talking to a doctor and the doctor says something like, I can't move, I don't have time to move, I don't have an agent, I don't know what I'm doing, what's the best you can do for me? The answer is, I'm going to overcharge you by several dollars per square foot, meaning several hundred a month or several thousand per month. And I'm not going to tell you that I'm doing it. I'm just going to take the best return I can. So it's really important to start that. So the answer to your question is, the ideal time frame is a minimum 12 months in advance. If you want to buy a piece of ground and develop your own building, like ground up, that takes a solid 18 to 24 months. So if you wait until your lease is literally 6 months out and you want to go buy a piece of ground and then build, you don't have enough time. You're going to be short a year and a half. So 12 months if you're going to buy a building, 12 months if you're going to renegotiate and renew, 12 months if you're going to relocate. If you want to buy ground and build, that's a solid 18 to 24 month process.
That's crazy cool. Wow.
Yep.
I mean, right now, interest rates are for commercial real estate, I don't know, what is it, 6.5%, 7% SBA. I don't know exactly where the rates are, but I'm assuming that they're still in that range right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, depending on some of the lenders are, they'll get competitive. They'll do promotions. They'll do better pricing depending on what's going on. But, I'm seeing like the best I'm seeing right now is like 5 3/4, like high fives for the right deal, the right bank. Like 6 1/4, 6.5 is pretty much like kind of right in the middle of the strike zone. And then, if you do go SBA, you're going to pay a higher rate. But they're also doing 25-year terms versus 15 or 20. And they're also doing lower down payments. So it's kind of a give and take. It's,